If you'd like to follow through or read along with us, we begin in chapter 2, verse 55 of the Holy Tablets. And if you're new here, welcome. Be sure to subscribe to All Eyes on Egypt TV and stay connected as we continue this powerful journey through the tablets. Verses 55 to 151 describe the arrival of Enqi and Enlil to Earth, his role as a master scientist assigned by Anu to oversee the mining and transport of gold, the establishment of early divine cities and water systems, and the creation of the Abzu, while also explaining how Enqi became entangled with humanity, diverted gold for himself, and was later restricted from returning to Earth, leading to historical misunderstandings that caused figures such as Abubakari II and later Hernán Cortés to be mistaken for Quetzalcoatl, which ultimately facilitated the conquest of the Americas, and culminating in the escalation of Earth's mission through the arrival of Enlil and additional Anunnagi, the shift from water-based gold extraction to harsh underground mining, and the emergence of long-standing interdimensional conflicts between different Draconian and Maldikian lineages whose genetic agendas, symbolic systems, and rivalries profoundly shaped human history, religion, myth, and power structures. Now let's read the Holy Tablets, chapter 2, verse 55. The energy vortexes which power their civilizations are in these tunnels, along with enormous stores of precious stones and metals. There were a few battles happening on Earth and in the skies. 56. Finally, arrangements were made, territories were drawn. To keep the peace on the planet Earth between the Draconians and the Riskians, you had to marry a daughter of one of them. 57. So Anu agreed to mate with a Draconian princess named Iyyyd, the daughter of Sidihis, the president of the Draconians, to seal the alliance, and he gave to his wife's sister Antum to be her highest servant. 58. They gave birth to Nudimmud, and he was to be ruler of the earth. Nudimmud was educated on Nibiru. He became a master scientist and builder. 59. Anu then sent a group of Anunnagi to start mining for gold on Tiamat. 60. The leader amongst the Anunnagi was Ea, meaning he whose house is water, son of the Anunnagi, Anu in the Draconian Id or Eid. 61. After crashing down in what is called the Persian Gulf today, he established a city and called its name Eridu, meaning home away from home, or house built in the far away, and he became known as Enki. 62. He received the name Enki when he landed to the planet Chi Earth, meaning ruler of Chi Earth. 63. However, his birth name was Nudimmud, meaning he who fashions things, or a reminder that his seed was of the water. 64. Enki built waterworks in the marshlands at the head of the Persian Gulf. 65. He surveyed the marshlands, cut canals for drainage and water control, built dikes, dug ditches, and built structures of bricks molded from the local clays. 66. The first divine city built was called Edudu, meaning House of the Holy Mound. 67. He joined the Idiglat Tigris and Feratu Euphrates rivers by canals, and at the edge of the marshlands he built his water house. 68. He built a cube-shaped temple called the Ubaid Shrine, and there the secrets were stored. Enki was assigned to Earth, and he agreed to the assignment. He was chosen for this job because he was a brilliant scientist and engineer. Enki built himself a beautiful kingdom in the sea called the Abzu. The structures of the Abzu were built of silver and lapis lazuli, part high on a mountain and part submerged underwater. 72. When Enki working in the Abzu, he built dams and rerouted waters. Enki loved water and frequently paddled around the marshes all by himself, studying fish, insects, and the grasses along the river banks. 73. However, all did not go well with Enki. 74. Enki got caught up in the delicacies of the world, and he stopped transporting the gold. He started to take the gold, shipping it to South America, then called Amexum instead of taking it straight on home. 76. Enki started to keep and store the gold for himself. Then he began to wear the gold. 77. It should be known that up until this point, the Anunnaki did not wear gold. Enki got caught up with these people who were half Nubian African and half Hamu Chinese, called today Native Americans of the Zuu Aztec, Toltecs, Hopi, and Navajo tribes. They referred to him as Quetzalcoatl, the winged serpent. 79. Enki promised these people he would come back in a sigi, meaning 60 years for the gold. 80, however, he didn't because he was sentenced to Nibiru, and he was not allowed to return to the planet Chi Earth anymore. This is why 6 cycles later, a man by the name of Abubakari II, a Mandingo Malian, came over to the shores of South America, which was then called Amixem. 82 he was believed to have been Quetzalcoatl, or Enqi. When Abubakari came, he was clothed from head to foot in long flowing white robes and a turban. He looked like a true child of the sun, burned dark by its rays. 83 his black hair and his beard stood out. Against the blue canopy, which he stood out under the Aztec tribe, you could see the outlines of a great golden bird, the serpent-slaying eagle, which they thought was a sign of Quetzalcoatl coming back as he had promised. It was said he would come back by way of the sea where the sun rises. It was exactly 6 cycles since he disappeared. 84. Thus, when Abubakari II appeared to the natives in 1311 AD, he had a white beard, he wore a long white robe, and he came from the east, the land of the sun, in boats, in the same manner as Quetzalcoatl had promised. 85. Abubakari II wanted to do something different, something new, and something from which there was no precedence that would keep his spirit quick and young with a lifelong excitement. 86. He made a deal with his half-brother, Mansa Musa, a Malian ruler, and he split the gold and riches in half, making both of them extremely rich. 87. They had a vast empire that stretched from Tunis, Libya, Morocco, and all the way over. 88. Abubakari II took half of the riches and history of his empire and sailed to the shores of America. 89. He appointed his half-brother Mansa Musa as king before he left in 1311 AD. Abubakari II kept in touch with the captains of the fleet by means of the talking drum. 90. Abubakari II arrived precisely 6 cycles after the disappearance of Quetzalcoatl by way of the sea from among the Toltecs in 999 AD. Thus he was mistaken by the Aztec as Quetzalcoatl. 91. His white robes fitted in with the image of symbolic white-bearded figure, while his black skin was the right ceremonial color of the rain god and wind god aspects of Quetzalcoatl. 92. A cycle is equal to 52 years in the Aztec culture, which is their Sigi, a 60-year cycle. 93. The Aztecs were originally called the Zu Aztecs. The name Zu comes from the Assyrian deity of thunder and storms, equivalent to Aztec deity Quetzalcoatl, deity of thunder and rain. 94. The medieval Mexican and the Mandingo Malians have a lot in common. For example, the plumed serpent motif of ancient Mexico and the feathered serpent cult in medieval Mali. 95. In medieval Mali, the equivalent of Quetzalcoatl is the Dasiri of the Bambara, the tribe of the Mandingo from which Abubakari came. 96. The Dasiri is the protector of the village, the beneficent spirit whose sacred animal is a snake. 97. The feast of the Dasiri takes place at the beginning of the year, like that of Quetzalcoatl. 98. The Dasiri hold a dancing ceremony called the Kwar or Kore, in which the dancers wrap themselves in thorns or lacerate their breasts and armpits. 99. Some beat themselves with the long, flexible scourges. In the Quetzalcoatl ceremonial, the same self-chastisement and the use of thorn picking occurs. 100. In both the Mexican Quetzalcoatl and the Mandingo Dasiri worship, these thorn pickings and whippings were designed to bring blood out in drops. 101. This blood dropping symbolized the falling of raindrops. 102. Now 4 cycles later, a man by the name of Hernán Cortés, also known as Hernán Cortés, and his band of bearded conquistadors, Cuba not far from the same spot. Montezuma II, the Aztec ruler, received first-hand reports of the visitors, which accorded closely with Toltec tradition of Quetzalcoatl's return. 103. Cortés came at the end of one of their 60-year cycles in March of 1519, when he sailed along the coast of the Yucatan and landed in Mexico. 104. Those innocent people, the Aztecs, thought him to be Enki returning, as their ancestors had predicted for thousands of years. Some also thought him to be Quetzalcoatl, the winged serpent, because Cortés fit the appearance of one of the Aztec prophesy of a bearded legendary god king. He was received with honor. 105. His soldiers were allowed to roam through the city at their pleasure, and they found a lot of gold and other treasures in the storehouses. 106. Cortés, born in 1485 to 1547 AD, explored the coast of Mexico, finally stopping near modern Veracruz, where he founded a city in order to legitimize his expedition. 107 people were trying to conquer Mexico from the natives of that land. This is why Cortés was there in Mexico. 108. After gaining important information regarding the political situation in the highlands of Mexico, Cortés marched inland and made an alliance with the Native Americans of Tlaxcala, who were the traditional enemies of the Aztecs. He began to pose as Quetzalcoatl. 109. The natives believed that this legendary ruler and deity would eventually return to Mexico from the east. 110. Thus, Montezuma II, the reigning Aztec king, was too mystified to organize resistance, and the Spaniards entered Tenochtitlan, city of Tenoch, named in honor of their ancestors who came from the Pacific, the Aztec capital, unopposed in November 1519 AD. This was a stepping stone to Cortés' eventual conquest of Mexico. 111. Thus, thinking Cortés was Quetzalcoatl, they turned all the gold over to him, showing him and his crew the massive amount of gold stored in the underground caverns in what is called Ecuador today. 12. Cortés was easily thought to be Enqi because he was 6 feet tall and he had a beard like the description they had of Enqi, when in fact he was not Enqi. He was a Spaniard of European descent, part of a larger plan to deceive the Native Americans out of their gold. Enqi's restriction from returning to Earth he did not like, but was forced to comply. 113. Since all did not go well with Enqi, the transportation of the gold had been slowed up. 114. Thus, my child, more Anunnaki were sent. They came down in groups of 50s. One of the groups was led by Marduk, meaning leader of the deities, son of Enqi and Damkina, or Damgina as Damchina, blood of the 50 Earth. She was a faithful wife. 117. The plan that Enqi had, which was to extract gold from sea waters by laboratory-like processes, did not work as well as was expected. However, the gold was still badly needed, and the Anunnaki faced a tough decision. 118. To abandon the project was out of the question, so they had to find a new way of getting the gold, which was through mining. 119. By then, the Anunnaki knew that there was a lot of gold in the Abzu, the primeval source, or Zuab. 120. Abzu was also called Monodapa, located in what is now Zimbabwe, formerly called Rhodesia near South Africa, which was then called Rafali. 121. However, the African gold had to be extracted from the depths of the earth through mining. 122. And the Anunnaki had to go from the easy water treatment process to a hard toil process, which was to extract the gold from below the surface of the earth. They called it Abaddon. 123. By that time, Enlil, meaning ruler of the skies, or Nudimmud, meaning the light of fish, which was his other name, son of Anu and Antum, was sent down to take charge of the Earth mission and organize the gold deliveries to Nibiru. 124. This caused a rivalry and jealousy between the two brothers Enki, god of the earth, and Enlil, god of the heavens, who were sons of Anu, the Most High God. 125. The male species of the dragon people didn't want to cooperate with brother Enlil. 26. They naturally preferred Enki as he was one of them, being the son of a Draco, or a being from the Drago star constellation. His mother, ID, was a Draconian. There are many strands and different breeds of Dracos, one commonly known as Vulcans, that were living in the seas, also known as the Maldekians, living in the Bermuda Triangle in Mu and Atlantis, not to be mistaken with another type of Maldekians, called the Primitives. 128. The Vulcans that lived in the sea were from the Mizar constellation, which is also referred to as Zeta Reticuli. 129. They originated from the planet Maldek. However, when their planet was destroyed, some took residence on the planet Earth, while others took residence in the constellation Draco and Zeta Reticuli. 130. One group were known as the Primitives, and one was known as the Dragon, or Draco. 131. Both of these beings were testing with humans in hopes of breeding more humanoid beings to take over the planet Earth. 32. The Primitives from the Bermuda Triangle, sometimes called Atlantis, refused to cooperate and surrendered to their ancestors. While 133, the ones who came in were hoping that the Primitives from the Bermuda Triangle would accept the old ways from when they lived on the planet Maldek and follow their old leadership. 134. However, they were wrong. So there has been a battle going on the planet Earth beneath it and interdimensionally between the two groups of reptilians and greys. 135. One group is set on evacuating the planet Earth, and taking control of it by imprisoning human beings and using them as food, which are the primitives. 136. The other group is interested in the divine in humans by breeding the genes into the human beings. This is the group that mother of Enki, came from. 137. The word Zeta is the 6th letter in the Greek alphabet. 138. The early letter Zeta was originally an I. The Greek alphabet came from the Phoenicians. 139. The letter Z is the replica of the cobra, snake, which resembles the symbol for the Zeta Reticulans. 140. The letter Zion Z is the 7th letter in the Hebrew alphabet, and it means weapon. 141. In the Canaanite language, the letter used as a Z also means weapon. 142. The letter Zai is the 11th letter of the Ashuric Syriac Arabic alphabet. 143. As a numeral, Zion denotes 7. 144. Another type of draconian species is called gargoyles that have special wings, which are flaps of skin supported by long ribs of dracona. They can be folded back against the body. 145. It is obvious that the qualities have been ascribed to vampires. Take a close look at this word vampire, V-empires. So what do you get? Vulcan Empire. 146. The male species of gargoyles are called Valkyria, and they have the ability to fly. 7. They nurture the eggs, and the females just lay them. 148. These beings are also known as the dragon race, and the symbology usually includes the winged serpent. 149. There are elements of their species which do not have wings called the soldier class and scientist. 150. There are many different breeds of draconians, just as there are many different breeds of humans. 151. The draconian women loved Enlil because he was bringing down groups of Anunnaki men to Chi, which gave them an opportunity to copulate. If these words from the Holy Tablets chapter 2 are awakening your spirit, restoring right knowledge, or guiding you toward deeper understanding, take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to All Eyes on Egypt TV so these teachings can continue to reach those who are seeking truth. Your subscription supports the preservation, study, and reading of the Holy Tablets and related sacred works. This video is powered by AEOE Bookstore, the largest collection of books by Dr. Malachi Z. York. To read, study, or listen for yourself, obtain your copy of the Holy Tablets at www.aoebookstore.net.